want to get home.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Were you gonna?
Okay. You need to say this first.
Which
The
this?
committee will come to order, and then you could say this.
And then all this?
And then, no, don't. You go here, straight to here. It's dog-eared, right here.
Okay. Okay. But what about? We are going to make this abbreviated because I understand a vote's been called and there's liable to be a whole series of votes. So I think we're going to do this as quickly as we can, as fast as we can. Quorum's present. Let me start by welcoming all members of this organizational meeting of the House Foreign Affairs Committee for the 116th Congress. We meet today to do a bunch of things, but because of the votes, I propose that we quickly adopt the committee rules and professional staff member lists, and then afterwards we can introduce the new chairs and ranking members as well as new committee members. Pursuant to Clause 2A of House Rule 11, the next order of business is adoption of the committee's rules for the 116th Congress. A copy of the proposed rules has been distributed to each of you in advance. The changes from the last Congress are relatively minor. We make some adjustments to the jurisdiction of the subcommittees, some addition to ensure that our rules conform to the House rules, and some changes to enhance transparency and oversight. The proposed rules are a bipartisan product, and I thank Mr. McCall for working with me on this package.
Turn to Mr. McCall to see if he wants to say anything.
Yeah, I'd like to give Mr. McCall a chance to make any statement he may wish on the rules.
I might side, we're fully in support of the rules package, and it's my understanding that we'll vote on that first and then make opening statements and introduce the new members.
Does any member wish to be recognized? If not, I believe that the proposed rules be adopted as the rules of the Committee on Foreign Affairs for the 116th Congress. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, and the proposed rules are adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table, and staff is authorized to make technical and conforming changes to the rules. The next order of business is to adopt the list of committee professional staff members as required by House rules. You have in your folders the list of staff. We're very fortunate to have such a talented and dedicated staff on both sides of the aisle. In particular, I'd like to recognize my staff director, Jason Steinbaum, who most of you know, and the ranking members, staff director, Brendan Shields. Without objection, I move that the committee staff list be adopted. Okay, so moved. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. McCall, and thank you to all our committee members. Let me yield to Mr. McCall for any remarks he may wish to make.
Well, thank you, Chairman Engel. It's a great honor to serve alongside of you as a lead Republican on the Foreign Affairs Committee. This is a historic committee that deals with serious issues of war and peace. It dates back to the Continental Congress, where Benjamin Franklin served as its first chairman. In the next 2 years, America will be met with many international challenges. Some of these problems are very familiar. Others have yet to materialize. And as we sit here today, we are seeing in real time the fight for the future of Venezuela. I know all of you hope there's a peaceful transition of power and democracy triumphs over tyranny. As we confront these challenges, it will be important for all of us to work together to put forward the best solutions. As I've always said and always heard Chairman Engel say many times, that partisanship must end at the water's edge. This committee has enormous responsibilities, and I look forward to showing the American people that both parties can unite to do what's best for our country. Some of my priorities are to confront our adversaries by taking real steps to counter China and Russia and increase pressure on Iran and North Korea, bolster engagement with our allies, including NATO and Israel, enhance our presence and leadership around the world, expand market access for American business abroad, reform and streamline the State Department with its first comprehensive reauthorization since 2002, and modernize our foreign aid programs. Secure America by combating human trafficking, transnational organized crime, gangs and drug cartels, in addition to enhancing cybersecurity and counterterrorism measures around the globe. Ensure the American government is doing all we can to tackle childhood cancer in the developing worlds, especially in Africa. And there will be times we may not see eye to eye, but in those instances, I look forward to having a respectful and civil debate. And lastly, I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize my subcommittee ranking members and introduce new Republican members of the committee. First, the vice ranking member, Representative Ann Wagner, former ambassador to Luxembourg. Next, congratulations, Ann. Next, on Africa, global health and human rights and international organizations, Representative Chris Smith, who has served in Congress for 38 years as a champion of human rights. Next, Asia, the Pacific, and Nonproliferation, Representative Ted Yoho, who has become a real leader and a real expert in this area, in this region. Next, Europe, Eurasia, Energy, and the Environment, Representative Adam Kinzinger, an Air Force veteran who served in Iraq and Afghanistan. Next, Middle East, Northern Africa, and International Terrorism, Representative Joe Wilson, an Army veteran, father of 4 sons who have served our country in the military, and one of the nicest guys you'll meet in the Congress. Next, Oversight and Investigations, Representative Lee Zeldin, a former attorney who served in Iraq and continues to serve in the Army Reserves today. And then finally, Western Hemisphere, Civilian Security and Trade, Representative Francis Rooney, former ambassador to the Holy See. The new Republican members joining our team are Ken Buck from Colorado, former prosecutor with the Department of Justice, served as chief of the Criminal Division in the U.S. Attorney's Office. Tim Burchett from Tennessee, former mayor of Knox County and served 16 years in the state legislature. Michael Guest from Mississippi, a former district attorney. Greg Pence, I think we all know his last name very well, from Indiana, a former Marine and businessman. And Gary Rauschenthaler from Pennsylvania, a U.S. Navy veteran who served in the JAG Corps in Iraq. He also served as a district judge in Pennsylvania legislature. Steve Watkins from Kansas, graduate of West Point, MIT, and Harvard, combat veteran who served in Afghanistan. And lastly, Ron Wright from my home state of Texas, who's been involved in politics for over 30 years and worked with Congressman Joe Barton, my dear friend. I want to congratulate all of you. I'm delighted at the experience we have, particularly the military and veteran experience and prosecutorial experience and foreign policy. I know everyone is ready to get to work. And with that, Mr. Chairman, let me say what an honor it is to serve with you. And above all, I will cherish our friendship. With that, I yield back.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. McCall. Let me just say at the outset, those of you who have been on the committee for the past several years know that Chairman Royce and myself had an extraordinary relationship. We always said that politics should stop at the water's edge when it comes to foreign policy, and we conducted ourselves that way. I believe that the same thing will be true of Mr. McCall and myself, and I want to just say that while people may have differences of opinion, we can do it in respectful way, and even find out that maybe with a little bit of tweaking here and there, we could actually agree on most of the things. And so I would hope that the traditions from the past 6 years on the Foreign Affairs Committee will continue with myself and Mr. McCall as the leaders of the committee. I'm very honored to serve as chairman of this very important committee, and I hope to continue our longstanding tradition of bipartisan cooperation to advance American interests around the world. And previous chairmen from both parties have been fair, transparent, and inclusive, and my commitment is that I'll follow in their footsteps. The committee will do good work. It won't shirk its responsibilities. We'll conduct thorough oversight of the agencies, programs, and policies under our jurisdiction. That's our constitutional obligation, and it's what the American people expect us to do. There will be times when we disagree on policy matters, and that's what democracy is all about. But those disagreements should not descend into personal animosity. And as I mentioned, I look forward to working with Mr. McCall to set a positive tone and make sure the voices of all of our members, Democrats and Republicans alike, are heard. And I'd like to now take a moment to introduce our subcommittee chairs and the new Democratic members of the committee. First, the chairs, Brad Sherman will serve as chair of the Subcommittee on Asia, the Pacific, and Nonproliferation. Albio Ceres will serve as chair of the Subcommittee on Western Hemisphere, Civilian Security and Trade. Ted Deutsch will serve as chair of the Subcommittee on Middle East, North Africa, and International Terrorism. Karen Bass will serve on the chair of the Subcommittee on Africa, Global Health, Global Human Rights, and International Organizations. Bill Keating will serve as chair of the Subcommittee on Europe, Eurasia, Energy, and the Environment. And Ami Bera will serve as chair of the Subcommittee on Oversight and Investigations. The vice chair is Joaquin Castro. He is a valuable member of the committee and will be a great vice chair. I look forward to working with him. And now our new Democratic members. First, we have Susan Wild, who won a special election to serve the remaining 2 months of the 115th Congress in 15th District of Pennsylvania, and now represents the new 7th District. Previously, she served as the Allentown City Solicitor. Next, we have Dean Phillips, a newly elected member representing the 3rd District of Minnesota. He was a businessman before coming to Congress. Next, we have another newly elected Minnesotan, Ilhan Omar, who represents that state's 5th District. Prior to joining us on Capitol Hill, she was the Assistant Minority Leader in the Minnesota House of Representatives. Next, we have Colin Allred, a newly elected member representing the 32nd District of Texas. Previously, he served at the Department of Housing and Urban Development and played professional football. We can challenge some of the other committees on that. He's followed by Andy Levin, a newly elected member representing Michigan's 9th District. Before coming to Congress, he was a union organizer, human rights activist, and green energy entrepreneur. Next is Abigail Spamberger. She's a newly elected member representing the 7th District of Virginia and previously served as a CIA case officer. She is followed by Chrissy Houlihan, newly elected member representing Pennsylvania's 6th District. She is an Air Force veteran, engineer, entrepreneur, and educator. Next, we have Tom Malinowski, another first-term member who represents the 7th District of New Jersey. Previously, he served as Assistant Secretary of State for Democracy, Human Rights, and Labor on the staff of the National Security Council and worked at the Human Rights Watch. Next is David Trone, newly elected member representing Maryland's 6th District. Previously, he worked at his family business, a well-known retailer of fine wine and other beverages. He's followed by Jim Costa, who in his 7th term representing the 16th District of California. He previously served on this committee, and we're very happy to welcome him back. And next, we welcome another Californian, Juan Vargas, who is now in his 4th term representing the Golden State's 51st District of California. Like Jim Costa, he is also returning to the committee. Last but not least, we have Vicente Gonzalez, now serving his 2nd term representing the 15th District of Texas. And now we're done, and we have to go and vote. So I want to thank everybody. We'll see you on the floor. Committee is adjourned.